Hello, this is the Raspberry Pi, a $35 computer that you can pick up at a variety of sources. If you look here, the device has a USB-C in, an HDMI out, mini HDMI, two of them. You can do two displays, a video out, two USB 2.0 ports, two USB 3.0 ports, and a gigabit Ethernet. If we flip it over here, you can also see there is the CPU, which I put a thermal pad on, the Wi-Fi chip, and the RAM. There's also a camera connector and a video out via ribbon cable. Putting that down here is, you can see I have a case laid out here. This case is only $15, but it's one of my favorite cases in terms of looks. It's also one giant metal heat sink that acts as a heat sink for the Pi. I'm going to speed this up a bit here. It's just kind of boring putting it together. It's only 4 screws. It's also a little difficult with one hand, so bear with me. And you get this together. Tighten down the screws. And there's my cat. Tabby, say hi. Pop in the micro SD card, which is where your OS is, and you are good to go. So we're back over here to Windows, and what you'll need to do is you'll actually be using a tool like Rufus in order to install a OS to the micro SD card. You can download it at the place on screen there, https://raspberrypi.org/downloads. They also have an all-in-one tool, but I actually prefer Rufus. I found it easier. But if you want to, you can just download their imaging software. So you get here, you just click OK again, and let it go. This actually is going to take it a while. I've sped it up for the sake of time. Once it gets installed, though, you'll be good. And it's going, and it's going, and it's going. Just about done. Alrighty. So now I've actually gone over to the Raspberry Pi itself. We're starting it up. This is the boot up screen. I'm not speeding this up. I just want you to see how fast this boots, even from a micro SD card. For a $35 computer, this thing has a lot going for it. And now we're in the OS. This is Raspbian. It's Linux based on Debian Linux. It's using an ARM fork, for anyone who knows what that is. And we'll get in here. And if you want to launch a program, most programs show up here. I've only installed the basic Raspbian, which doesn't include the included software, or the recommended software. But as you can see, we got a whole lot of options here, even Minecraft Pi. You also have LibreOffice, which I've installed. It's recommended software. If you want, you can click the recommended software there. But let's go ahead and connect to Wi-Fi before we go any further. And yep, it's that simple. You just click the Wi-Fi icon, choose your Wi-Fi, and if you have a password, you can put in a password. I'm at the library, so I'm using their free Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go over a few things you should know here. Here's Terminal. In Terminal, you will spend a lot of time in Terminal if you want to do anything outside of the basic stuff in Raspbian. It looks intimidating, but it's not. You just need to memorize a few commands. For example, here's sudo, or super user do. That is the command that runs it as an admin, essentially. And what we're going to do here is we're going to run a simple update. Sudo apt/get update, and that will pull in the latest list of software and versions, and that'll allow your computer to compare your software to the software in the repositories. And once this gets done, there we go. Now after we do that, we're going to use the same command, except we're going to use upgrade, and that's going to upgrade any software that has a newer version than the one installed. You can also do a full upgrade, which will update things that aren't normally updated in the normal update process, such as firmware. So we're going to run through here. Once again, I've sped this up a little bit for the sake of time. And it's going. And there we go. I've noticed that it's actually updated the EEPROM, so I'm going to go ahead and do a reboot while we're here. Super user do reboot. Once again, super user do to run it as an admin, and then the reboot command, and that will turn the hardware off and turn it back on. And we're back. As you can see, there are 4 Raspberry icons there. Each of those actually stands for a core. So the Raspberry Pi 4 has 4 cores. If you see all 4 Raspberries, all 4 of them are online. Alright, and we're back here in the OS. As you can see, since I connected to the Wi-Fi, it's now automatically connecting. And we can go over here and let's look at LibreOffice. So we got LibreOffice, we got the all kinds of software here. It's basically a free open source version of Microsoft Office. Can also open Office docs, but let's say you're writing a paper for school. You can go here on the Raspberry Pi $35 computer and start typing up a document. Just center it. You can type out your paper name. It's actually been a while since I've had to type out a paper. Let's make it big. Let's make it bold. You get all the basic options you get in Microsoft Office. And then we can go here and, well, we don't want it big and bold anymore. Start typing. I always hated papers. I really hated papers in school. But, you know, we're here. We're writing about the Raspberry Pi, so it can be fun. And anyone can do this. This can also output and read Microsoft Office documents, so you don't even have to have Office. If your teacher, for some reason, wants you to submit an Office document, you can file save as an Office document. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. But, you know, you got a lot of options here. Everything you can do in Office, pretty much. You can insert an image, just a whole row of things. But, you know, let's move on. I'm not going to save this. I don't need it. Here's probably the most exciting thing. We got internet. The built-in web browser. Oh, sorry. You also got all kinds of Office options here. You can do PowerPoints, you can do Excel documents, you can even do database managers. But you know what? Let's get into the internet now. You do have internet here. Chromium is the recommended web browser. I've also installed Firefox here just for the sake of some things may not work with Chromium, but the Raspberry Pi Foundation has put in a lot of work into making Chromium the best web browser for the Pi, just hands down. You're going to get all the hardware acceleration features, everything. Now let's go over here to YouTube. You can watch YouTube videos on this. Nothing's stopping you from doing that. You can learn all kinds of stuff on YouTube, and I'm assuming you're watching this video on YouTube right now, so you could do that on your Pi too. Let's look up Big Buck Bunny. It's a simple stress test, video stress test. This is 4K, but I'm actually going to run it at default. And as you'll be able to see here in a second, it's 720p 60 is the default. You don't really want to go higher than 720p 60. The hardware can handle it for a regular video file, but YouTube, it'll start to lag a little bit. But once we get caught up here, yeah, smooth playback. 720p 60 FPS. You can also do 1080p 30 or anything lower than 720p 60 will run absolutely great. And let this run for a few seconds. You know, I think that's enough. Let's go back to YouTube. And, you know, it loads there. See my YouTube recommended videos. You can also use the Pi to access the library's digital resources. And we have so many. Especially right now, you see there, oh, the library's closed. But even if we're closed, we are still here for you digitally. And we get in here, just, you know, scrolls fine. It's a web browser. It's $35 Pi running a web browser. But, you know, let's go over here to Overdrive. You can access, you say you want to read an ebook, an e-magazine. You can do that on the Pi. Nothing's stopping you. Get in here, we'll sign in. I'm actually going to skip over the sign in screen here so you don't know my library card number. But once we get loaded here, you can choose your library, sign in, and, well, there it is. The Overdrive site actually seems to be getting a lot of traffic today, and just recently in general. I think you can guess why. But, you know, we get in here, and let's say you want to read about PCs. PC Magazine, right there. PC World Magazine. Borrow it. Read in the browser. And it loads, and there you go. Got the first page. You got the second page. It's loading the third page, but let's not wait for that. Gonna go ahead and just go back here. You get the idea. So many things you can do with this. Anything you can do on a regular web browser, you could do here for the most part. Let's look at some other stuff. You want to learn something. Got Universal Class. You can go here, click Access Resource. And once it loads, give it a second. All of these websites are being hammered today. There we go. So we go in here. You know, I've already logged in. Skip through that once again. And let's find something interesting. I don't know. What do we have here? We got some options up top. You can do all kinds of things. Save your lessons. What looks interesting? Something. Oh, computer training. Here we go. Now there's Windows. We're not in Windows though. We're in Linux. I wonder if they got any Linux options here. No, nothing found. This is their second page. There's not a second page. Oh well, you can still get your basic training here. There's all kinds of stuff. And we also have lynda.com for anything Universal Class doesn't. Let's try HTML5. Web design is interesting. It's fun. You make your own websites. And you get in here, you start the lesson, you click play, and the video plays, and you got access to it. $35 computer. Well, I think that's enough of that. So, you know, you have so many options here. You get this set up, and you have a fully fledged desktop PC for $35. Slap a $15 case on it. You will need a mouse, keyboard, and a power supply, but it'll use any USB-C power supply. And you got all these options here. You got games, you got emulators, but